Finding demographics using the U.S. Census. When writing a business or marketing plan, it is absolutely vital to find information about your potential customers, from the basics like age and income, to more complex things like the size and structure of their households, or whether they rent or own a home. Government resources, like the many statistics collected by the U.S. Census, can answer many of these questions for free. Data.census.gov is an easy starting point to find information about the people in a specific geographic area. Let's say we want to start a business in Brookfield, Wisconsin, so we want to learn a little more about that area. Enter Brookfield into the search box, choose Brookfield City from the pop-up, and we'll get a general overview of this area, such as the population characteristics, health and education stats, income and poverty rates, and more. In any of the sections, click on the table number to view the original data table, where you can see a more detailed breakdown about that data point. For example, here's the table for a more detailed income breakdown for people in this city. You'll notice that most data tables are at least a year old. The government conducts its surveys on a schedule, and even after a survey has been completely collected, it will take some time for them to sort through the responses and publish the data. If you want a simpler view of the data, look at the column section here on the right, where you can hide certain columns. Maybe we don't really need to see the margins of error, just the total, so we'll uncheck the margin of error boxes. If you want to save this data, do that with either the Excel or download buttons at the top. If you want to compare multiple geographic areas, the Census Quick Facts tool is best for that. Often when you're making a marketing plan that involves a specific geographic area, you want to compare how is the population of this city, county, or state different from areas around it. If you want an even more specific geography, such as zip code, the census does collect some data down to that level, but you need to go back to the tables on the data.census.gov page for that. You'll see that the default on Quick Facts is for the entire United States. Start typing in the box. You can compare census data for all states, counties, and cities and towns over 5,000 in population. Maybe I want to compare the 3 counties around Whitewater, so I'll type Rock, Walworth, and Jefferson counties. Now you can see the same broad categories as on the other page, such as population, race, housing, etc., but with numbers to easily compare each of my geographies. Notice that for a few of the numbers, there's an alert or warning triangle next to them. If you hover over that, you can see what census survey or study it draws from, like this is from the Vintage 2019 Population Estimates program. It says not to compare between surveys with a slightly different methodology, but in general, it's probably not going to drastically change the numbers. Like this 6% rate of persons under 5 years is not suddenly going to become 10 or 20% in a different survey. It might just change by a small percent. For any of these census details, you can click on the little I for more information about what survey it came from, and usually there's a link directly to that survey, so you can drill down for more detail or more specific geography if it's available. In making any marketing plan, you will need to think critically about what demographic details are most useful to you in marketing or developing your product, and often you'll have to look in multiple surveys beyond the sites I've highlighted here. Let's say you're developing a landscaping product that will likely be of interest to people who own their own homes, not rent, and who also have a somewhat larger yard to take care of. You can get the percentage of owner-occupied houses here, but how big the lots are is a little more niche. So here's a great strategy for any time you're trying to find government stats from any survey, not just the census. Go to Google, because almost all government stats are freely available on the web, and do a search like this: average house lot size, and add the site limiter cite:/.gov with no space after the colon. This will limit all of my results to be only from .gov sites. This is a really powerful strategy whenever you're looking for something for which the government should have some information. Some data might come from unexpected sources, like here's a blog post from the Federal Reserve analyzing trends in the ratio between average size of home built and the lot it sits on. Or, further down, I see this page for the characteristics of new housing sold from the census. This is great. I can download in Excel or PDF. I recommend Excel if you want to manipulate the data at all. Now this Excel file shows me trends about lot sizes of new houses sold over the years from 1976 to present. There are multiple tabs down here if I want to study only some subset of the total houses. As with most big data tables, it can be a little intimidating, but use the headings to help you to understand. This table has both total number of houses and the percentage distribution of houses with these different size lots. The nice part about Excel is that you can highlight just the rows you want, or hide any rows you don't want, or figure the sum or average if that is helpful. Maybe for your landscaping product, you want to see what percentage of houses have lots larger than 9,000 square feet or so. I would start on the top row here, sum the total percentages for these last three columns, then use the little handle at the bottom of the cell to apply that same sum to all of these rows. When I do that, I can see that indeed, the trend over the decades for new houses being built is that they are built on smaller and smaller lots. In this case, this data isn't drilled down to the local level, but even a national picture like this will give you some idea of how big your potential market for your product could be. Finally, any data you use must be cited correctly in order to be used ethically. Citing data is kind of unusual in APA. Here are some examples for how to cite a few of the data tables used in this video. Notice that you can use the U.S. Census Bureau as the author, and the U.S. Department of Commerce, which is the parent agency of the census and is listed at the bottom of each page, is the source or publisher. If the survey lists a date, include that, but if you don't have a date, you can use N period, D period, and then include the date you retrieved the information, because the site might be updated later with next year's data. If you have a table number, include that in parentheses after the title, or if it's an unusual or non-standard form of information, like for this one where I downloaded the Excel file, include a description of that in square brackets after the title. If you have more questions about researching demographics, please contact the library. We're happy to help.